Hey, welcome back to the channel. Real quick before we start, I just want to say thank you guys so much. It really means a lot to me that I don't know how I got 145 views on my last video, but hey, that's pretty cool because I don't think I've ever gotten to kind of sit down and talk to somebody about my career. Definitely not 145 people. So that's really cool. Thank you guys so much for the support, and with that out of the way, let's get to today's video. So today's video, we're going to be talking about Nikon's new updated lens roadmap. We're going to be talking about lenses that are concerned with portraiture and events, because those are the two things that I'm most experienced in. I feel like I could actually give some tangible, like, good tips or thoughts on those subjects, because the other lenses, as you'll quickly see, are large telephoto primes, and the most experience I have with that is the 400mm Sony 2.8, and I didn't really get to go that deep into sports photography because right as I was getting into sports photography, C happened and I didn't really get to dive that deep into it. So we're on Nikon Rumors, our favorite rumor site. Honestly though, I will give them credit. They've been pretty on point with their rumors. The lens rumors that I've stumbled upon and the body rumors have been pretty close, if not like dead on the money. So they have a pretty good track record. I haven't been to the rumor sites, but this one is definitely a good place to go to. I feel like if you really like Nikon, NikonRumors.com, that's where you can get all the latest buzz on the ifs and whats of Nikon. The new lenses that are added on the roadmap are the 28mm prime, the 40mm prime, 50mm micro prime lens, 85mm S prime lens, 105 micro S prime lens, 400mm S prime lens, 600mm S prime lens, 24 to 105 S zoom lens, 100 to 400mm S zoom lens, 18 to 140mm zoom lens, 200 to 600mm zoom lens. So, you know, we got some primes in there and a lot of zooms. I feel like this batch of photos is really hitting the spot on the sport photographers. I feel like they're finally getting their good share of native glass, because before, if you were doing sports or birding or anything that requires a large telephoto, so far you've probably needed to adapt your previous f-mount lenses, unless you somehow got a 70-200Z, which I mean, that's possible. I've just heard all over the place that they're just out of stock, and recently I think they posted that they're back in stock. Although I did go to my local camera shop and they had one there and I got to try it out. Alright, so with that, reading the list, let's actually take a look at these. Oh yeah! So with these zoom lenses, the telephoto ones, they'll probably be compatible with the, what are they called? The teleconverters. So that's something to look forward to, because I think at the moment that only the 70-200 can be used with that as of right now, today, as December, what is it, 2nd? 2nd. As of December 2nd, only the 70-200 Z-mount is compatible with the teleconverters. Alright, so let's look at these silhouettes. So we got a Pancake 28mm and a Pancake 40mm. So I don't really know about the Nikon Pancake lenses in terms of like what aperture they are, because not to sound like a snob, but I've never actually wanted to look into them, if that makes sense. I do know that there was one of the Canon ones that was really slim, like a true pancake looking lens, even smaller than the 51.8. Like, it was just like a sliver. I think it was like a 40mm. But Nikon Pancakes, I'm not too sure about what the apertures are on those. Okay, so apparently Pancake lenses are usually around f2.8. So I don't think most people will cry about it, specifically if you want like the size. Because when I look at these silhouettes, they're pretty tiny, like Pancake lenses. Ugh. Okay, so regarding the Pancake lenses, I know I've seen a lot of people on the Nikon Rumors forums that were excited, or they've been anticipating these lenses. Now that I know that they're out, am I interested in them? Well, now that I'm, you know, photography, I like it a lot. Maybe if I want to shed a lot of weight off of my kit, I'll get these lenses. but most of the time I don't really mind carrying the current, like, where is it? Like, these are small. Like, they're pretty small. Like, if I take off this lens hood, and it's just this, it's like the size of my hand, and I feel like these lenses are already pretty, like, easy to manage. So this is a Nikon 85mm prime. Like, everyone has seen this formula before. It hasn't really changed from the 50 to the 35. It's definitely not the 85. They're all packaged the same. They're pretty small. The length varies based on what focal length you're using. I know the 35, I think, is the smallest out of the bunch, if not the 50, which is currently on my camera. From the looks of the silhouettes, the 28 and the 40mm, they're like half the size of the 85. So that would be pretty easy to just carry around all day. So these pancakes will probably be really appealing to users that don't like carrying a lot of weight, that are fine with 2.8 apertures, and they just want a smaller package. With these pancake lenses, I don't know, they could have some interesting characteristics about them. Maybe they could switch up the way you shoot. Maybe the focal lengths will make it, you know, fun, because they are 28 and 40, and that's right now we don't have those ranges, like specific primes. So back when I was shooting all the time, I would go and get the camera drawer, the lens drawer specifically, and I would just open up my bag, and this was for funsies or practice shoots. You know, I wouldn't do this to serious ones. On serious shoots, I would just, you know, take a standard kit and just play it safe, because I'm not trying to deliver something crazy to a client today. But for fun shoots, I would just kind of just look in, grab, and put. Not really, but I would basically just mix and match focal lengths. Like, I would challenge myself. I would just be like, okay, today what am I doing? I'm doing a shoot, and it's downtown before Big C, and it's going to be one person, and this is the mood, right? I would just be like, okay, so I definitely want to show out the outfit, so I'll go wide, but then maybe I won't, you know? So I would take two bodies, and I would take like a 35, right? And then, I don't know, maybe I would pack a 7200, and then on both bodies, I would put the 7200 and the 35. I would have like really opposite focal ranges, just so that I would have to like mix it up, and I would put a timer, or I would just say, okay, I'm not switching out yet. No matter how badly I wanted to switch out lenses, I would just stick to the 35 or the 7200, and then until I really felt that, okay, I'm going to switch out sets again, because I need to get my creative mind going again. Let's see what happens when I switch it up. So then I would go into my bag, and then I would pull out something like, all right, take off the 7200, put on a 20, and then on this one, I'm going to go even wider. I'm going to put a, what is it, on a 12 to 24. And so, you know, that would be closer, and it would also allow me to zoom, but then you also have the prime. But then sometimes I would just run 35, 85, or 35, 135. Basically, I would just mix and match. And I feel like those were the most fun type of shoots, because it felt fun, adventurous. I didn't really feel committed to just use a 24 to 70 for everything, and then 85 when I wanted to like blur the background. Like, I feel like that's standard and safe. And, you know, I'm not trying to diss people that do that. If you shoot with a 24 to 70, and that's your only lens, huzzah. I'm going to be doing the same. I'm not even going to lie. Once I get mine, 24 to 70 is my personal favorite, like, focal range. After I got to use one, I just realized that I just live in that vicinity. That 24 to 70 range is my home. Like, that's where I'm at, and I'm comfortable there. Specifically for, like, context, you know? 2.8 leaves a lot of things to still see in the background, unlike a more you know, bocalicious lens like an 85 1.8. Even this lens that, you know, it's what, $800, $900? You know, that's still expensive, don't get me wrong. But the 135, I think that's like a $2,000 lens. 135. All right, yeah. So the Sony 135 1.8, $2,000. Well, technically $2,100. And That's expensive, but it's really good. I can attest to how good that lens is. I've used it. I absolutely love the effect, but it blurs everything out. Like, it absolutely just annihilates everything. Like, your background, gone. Any people in the background, gone. So when you're using this lens, basically the whole background just gets absolutely wiped, and all you have is bokeh. And me personally, I feel like with the 24-70, which is already out in the Z mount, you know, at 2.8, it'll leave context. And I feel like with these primes, with them being wider, the 28 and the 40, you know, you'll have people that do street photography just grab these up. Like, they will just snatch them off the shelf. They'll fly off the shelf. So for street photographers, for context and stuff, and maybe a little bit of blur at 2.8, I don't know, at these focal ranges, I'm pretty sure that these lenses for specifically street photographers and people that just like wide primes, astro, what else, nature, landscape, I feel like they're going to like these lenses, specifically at 2.8, you know? It's like, if you're walking a lot, oh, I see it now. I feel dumb. Okay, so I've changed my opinions. So I think earlier I was saying I don't know who these are for. I definitely know who these are for now. Okay. I just thought about it. I just said it out loud. So if you're doing landscapes and you're just walking for like hours on end without stopping, I feel like cutting some weight in your bag is definitely going to be a thing. Closing points for the 28 and the 40 mil, I feel like these are going to be very, you know, appealing lenses to people that do street photography, astro, and landscape. Because at f2.8, you know, they're already shooting that. I don't think many landscape photographers are shooting at 1.8, right? I mainly see that you stop down. So, and especially if you're, what's it called, walking along and you got a bag full of stuff, I feel like cutting down on the weight will be greatly appreciated by people in those fields, and just like anyone, you know, lenses shouldn't be like, you know, guarded to only be used by certain trades or sub-sectors of photography. I don't know about picking these up, so I don't know about me, but I like the 1.8 Trinity, the classic, the 35, the 50, and the 85. I like those. I don't mind the weight at all. I'm also not walking all day trying to take pictures of nature, so I feel like eventually I will pick these up just to have them, and I don't know. I'll have to use them someday, but my general thinking right now about these lenses is that they're going to be very well welcomed. That's it. I think that just sums it up. These lenses, f2.8, street, astro, landscape, and anyone else who wants them, I think they'll be very well received, and can't wait to get my own one day, I guess. Oh, last thing I didn't see is that the 28 and the 40 don't have the S line mark. So probably, you know, they couldn't get them up to their standard to be called an S line lens, but that's okay. They're small, and I feel like people that are going to be using these lenses already know that. They're trading off maybe some image quality, specifically sharpness around the edge of the frame, perhaps, for the size. So I don't think too many people will mind that. Next lens, the 24-105. Some people are saying that it's going to be f2.8 on the wide to f4 on the tele side, and I'm just like, what? Like, I wouldn't have thought of that. I honestly thought it was just going to be another f4 lens, but that would be a pretty interesting variable aperture lens. It would definitely be a first. I don't think there's ever been a lens like that. It's mainly just been f4s or like 3.5 to f7 or something like that, but f2.8 to f4, that's new. It could be interesting. My thing is, like, if you're shooting manual and you're not careful, and let's say you're at f2.8 on the wide side, right? And you set it to f2.8, but then you go down to 105 for whatever reason, your exposure is now different. It's going to be like a little bit of an extra step. if you're using manual, right? But I don't think it'll be that much of a problem. I feel like this lens is kind of like the be-all, do-all lens, and I don't know. Like, people see like a kit lens, but I don't. F4 kind of kills it for me in terms of like event photography. Sometimes it'll be really dark, and if you're using off-camera flash, you know, that'll save you, but you're still pretty high up on, you know, f-stop. And if you can get like 2.8, or if you're using like one of the new crazy Canon primes, f2, not primes, zooms. If you're using one of the new Canon zooms and you're at f2, well, you're doing pretty alright. But f4 at an event is kind of, you know, you would want to get better because then you can go lower ISO and better image quality and yada yada. So the 50mm is going to be a micro, so I'm guessing it means macro, like a macro lens. Dope. I like macro lenses. Relating to portraiture on the micro lenses, specifically the 50mm, and I guess we can just jump over the 105 since they kind of go hand in hand. The 105, I feel like it's going to be a completely different lens. It's going to be like a step up from the 85. And even though it's micro, depending on the aperture, I still feel like people will use the 105 just to have a longer length focal prime. So the macro lenses, the 50 and the 105, I feel like they'll be used for, you know, weddings and detail shots, product photography. Definitely people that are looking for those. So those are welcome additions. The 85mm S-line f1.2. Whew. Okay, so I feel like that's going to be like a holy grail lens for a lot of people. Like, that's going to be like their staple in their just like work arsenal, because 85mm, you use that for portraits, senior photos, weddings, especially at 1.2. I feel like the look that people get from it being 1.2 is going to, you know, it might set them apart, because even though I got an 85 1.8 here, it doesn't mean that it's on the same quality as the 85 1.2 because of how it's built, and it's more expensive, and it, you know, it renders the bokeh differently, bokeh ball is better, and all that good stuff. So the 85mm, I'm definitely not going to get rid of this one. I'm going to keep the 1.8, and I'm going to get the 1.2, and depending on what I'm doing, I'll switch around. If I need the image quality and I can afford to have that much weight on me, I'll take the 85 1.2. If I need to be moving around and I know it's going to be like a long day, I'll probably use the 85 1.8. You know, it's okay. It's not the end of the world if you shoot with one or the other. Specifically, like, you know, if your budget or your style, sometimes that image quality really isn't worth carrying around a heavy lens all day long. You'll get tired of it and you'll just not want to use it. That's one thing. You definitely have to consider the weight of the lenses. Like, if you're going to be using them, amazing. But you really have to spend a day with a lens and see, like, if by the end of your shoot, oh man, your arm is just tired, you're tired of holding them both, you've been just like, oh my gosh, this lens is so heavy, this body, you can't do it. And you know what you're going to do? You're going to put it on the shelf and you're not going to touch it, because that's one of the things that people overlook. So yes, the 85, definitely sweet. It's going to have its use cases, and a lot of people are just going to tote it around all the time. I'm not saying that's not going to happen, but for certain people, I recommend you really think about those small details, because they do add up, and eventually you might even just put that on a shelf and keep this one on your bag. Just saying. The 24 to 1.5, definitely a dope. Feel like it's a very good kind of kit lens. We do have the 24 to the 70, and I don't know. I don't see them reimagining their kits anytime soon, switching it out for the 24 to 1.5. Maybe in the future, maybe for a different lens. But at the moment, I feel like the 24 to 70 f4 is going to keep that kit lens status going for it. So it's S-line, which is great, and, you know, pretty good staple in event photography. Maybe even some portraits. I mean, you can use it for portraits. Definitely use it for portraits. The Pancake primes, I feel like, are going to be good for astro, street, and landscape photographers. Definitely small, cut down on a lot of weight. You know, they love that stuff. I love that stuff. I don't like carrying around big lenses. That's why I love the 1.8 primes. I love their size. So let's look over here to the next silhouette. It's a DX 18 to 140mm, so I think that's the 24 to 200 in the DX factor. I don't really care about it. It's going to be a good... It sounds so boring, but I don't really care for that lens. It's DX. It's not going to be for me. There's going to be other people more well-suited to talk about the lens, so we're going to skip over it. The S-Line 100 to 400 millimeter. So with that lens, I've definitely used that focal range before, and it's good. It's probably going to be variable aperture. I don't think I've ever not seen a variable aperture lens in that range. I might be mistaken, but 1 to 4 S-Line, it's a good sport lens. Especially, it might be an outdoor lens, specifically also along with the 200 to 600 millimeter. If you're using something that's along the aperture ranges of like f5.6, ISO is going to be shooting up pretty high. Inside of those gymnasiums, those university gyms, where they're playing basketball or volleyball, it gets really dark. And I'm telling you right now, at f5.6, you're going to be spitting out Swiss cheese out of your camera with that ISO. So 2.8, definitely a sweet spot. But I don't feel like these are indoor lenses. I feel like these are outdoor lenses and they'll thrive in that environment. But each photographer has their own limits. Me personally, I don't think I like this range for indoor. For indoor, specifically like basketball court inside, it's not that bad to be using a 7200. You know, pick your side and shoot from there, and then you should be fine. But these are more outdoor lenses. I feel like that's my opinion there on that, because I have shot a little bit, but not too much. So I'll be, you know, easy with my opinion here. But, you know, they're new, and sports photographers and birders and such, they'll definitely love these lenses, and I'm excited for them, and I'm excited to just see them out in the wild. The big mama. We have the two mama bears. So right here, obviously on the very right, you see them right there in their huge silhouetted glory. The S-Line 400 and the S-Line 600 millimeters. That's a thick lens. So, okay, so I've used the 400. I mean, it's heavy. You're going to be on a monopod. If you're going to handheld that beast, well, you're probably like ripped. And so, but your arm's going to get tired. So I don't think anyone's handholding this. This is definitely a sport lens. It's definitely going to be expensive. I forgot to mention that some of these lenses are going to be really, really, really expensive. Specifically, the 400 and the 600 millimeter primes. They're going to be like upwards in the $10,000 range. So they're going to be between $10,000 and $14,000. $10,000 to $14,000. You're going to find the last two silhouettes at. I don't think they're going to make it more expensive. Maybe. Could I see these lenses passing the $15,000 mark? No. I feel like they're going to cap out there. So you can either expect these lenses to come in at $12,000 or $14,000, but I don't think they'll go above $15,000. This could age like cheese, but that's just my opinion. As for the 200 to 600 millimeter, I think it's like a $2,500 lens. So is the 1 to 400 millimeter. I feel like those are also $2,000 lenses. Okay, the micro 105, I feel like that's going to be a $1,500 lens. The S-Line 85mm f1.2, I feel like that's going to be a $2,500 lens, if not $2,300. The micro 50, I feel like that's going to be, well, depending on the aperture, it might be anywhere between $400 to $600. Some of y'all going to slap me on the face right now and say, duh, but I'm just giving an estimate out there. The S-Line 24 to 105, I feel like off the shelf by itself, I feel like they're going to put this in a kit eventually, but by itself, I feel like that's going to be a $1,200 lens, maybe? A $1,200 lens? The Pancakes, to be honest with you, I've never looked at these before, and I've definitely never seen them on the Z-mount before, or heard of any previous ones. I'm going to say 28 to 40, 28 and 40 millimeter, if they're f2.8s, and they're primes, but they're not S-Line, probably put them at $400 each, maybe? $400 to $550, maybe. Very exciting time to be a Nikon Z user. I feel like this is a very exciting time for a Z mount because finally we have a full set of like equipment. Like if you looked at this, and once all this gets released, if it does, I feel like we're gonna have a full lens collection. Finally. I feel like all the pieces are there. There's nothing much missing. and more people might come over to join us. I'm not sponsored by Nikon. I'm not going to get on the bandwagon for them. I don't even feel like they have that much of a bandwagon, if I'm being honest. I feel like they're just vibing out. Like, so I feel like I saw it on Nikon Rumors. Someone said that they just want to be third. Like, they don't want to take on Sony or Canon. Like, they're good with being third, and that's okay. What's wrong with being third? Nothing. Let's look at some of these comments. Light League 101 says, "Hurry up with the Pancake Lenses!" Exclamation mark. See? There's someone that's excited for them. People complaining. People complaining. More people complaining. There's like nothing insightful on this thread. It's literally all just people complaining. Does anyone know the f-stop for the 40mm? Someone said, I'm guessing it'll be f2. Maybe they could pull it out, but I'm leaning more towards the traditional f2.8 just for the price. They're gonna skip out on giving a 2.8 and just for it to be price friendly for that lower echelon of people that are just hobbyists who are just getting into it and not that serious about it. I feel like they're gonna shave off the aperture just to save in price. Someone's saying that they think the 85 is going to be a f1.8. I doubt it because they need to compete with Canon, and Canon already has a f1.2. The f1.2 is a new f1.4. It's like a peen waving contest now. It's like who can have the bigger aperture. Yeah, RF85 f1.2. If Nikon goes f1.4, which they're not, I'll eat my shoe if they do. They're gonna get like absolutely roasted by everyone. They're like, but Canon has it f1.2. Why didn't you make it f1.2? So it's definitely not f1. I don't know why this guy's worried about that. It's definitely not that. The two macros. Take my money as quick as you can. I mean, I like micro photography. At least I want to get into it. I love detail shots, and I definitely think that people are going to use the 105 macro as a portrait lens. Maybe even the 50, but the 50 that already exists, the f1.8, just a standard 50, is pretty popular. Yeah, I don't get why people are worried about the size of these lenses. They have to be big. But I'm excited for these lenses. I feel like finally, if you look at the picture, like, it just looks like there's so many lenses. Like, remember when there was nothing? There was just the primes. Remember that? I remember that. And now that you have all of these, you have the photographer's Trinity finished, you have the 1.8 prime Trinity finished. It's like, it's there. It's there. They're filling in the specialty lenses, but I do think that the Z6 II is a good like step in the right way, because the Nikon Z6 is a good body, but they definitely improved it, and I can't wait to see how else to keep improving it. But obviously, I've seen from other manufacturers, they have different lines. Sony has their A9, their A7, and their A7R. So the high resolution, the sport, and the regular hybrid. I feel like Nikon's coming with it. It's definitely in the works. I don't see why people would think it wouldn't be. We already have the 7 and the 6, so now we just need the 8, the Z8 will be the sports camera. That's going to be the thing that I feel will just shut everyone up. They'll finally have a complete set of lenses, and they'll have good bodies to pick from. And I feel like that's it. I feel like the whole system is just 1 year away from just being completed and being good. Like most of the lenses are like, people are saying good stuff about them. I don't think I've ever heard anything that bad about any of the Z-mount lenses. That's the whole silhouette. I'm excited for it. Definitely filling in a lot of gaps. I feel like this is going to make the system much more appealing. I'm looking forward to the 85-1.2. That's going to be a beast of a lens. I still haven't tried out the 50-1.2 because it just hasn't reached me yet in my city. Alright, so there's my attempt to try and discuss the new lens roadmap silhouettes and the focal lengths that are revealed to us as of now. I'm definitely excited for the lenses. I can't really say that there's any that I'm disappointed in. I feel like all the lenses that are on the roadmap are going to find a good home. And I feel like a lot of Z-mount users are going to be very happy with this upcoming release in the next following year. And with that out of the way, I think we have had a good discussion today. Can we even call it that? And that just about does it for today. Thank you guys so much for watching. My name is Justin, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.